that we have a very own farm to table cafe right here in Hyderabad that serves delicious and organic food. Welcome to Sage Farm Cafe. Let's go inside and let's see what's there. Here at Sage Farm Cafe, you're welcomed by lush greenery as well as organic and healthy food. Hi, this is Ankita from HyBiz Tv and today we have Kavita from Sage Farm Cafe. So hi Kavita, how are you doing today?
Very well. Thank you so much for having me today.
So what was your inspiration behind starting such a unique cafe that we have here?
So the inspiration behind Sage was really just, honestly, I didn't come from a restaurant background, but we acquired a farm where we started growing a lot of our produce. And what I noticed was that there seems to be no common link between what we're eating on a day-to-day basis and what is actually seasonal and what is being grown in the farms. So we used to do these vegetable markets and I found that a lot of the produce is going waste because what is seasonal and what is actually meant for that particular climate tends to grow in abundance. But because our food consumption is not varying with the seasons, seasonal produce is quite often being left completely unsold. So the idea behind Sage Farm Cafe was to actually take your day-to-day vegetables which are seasonal and find a unique way to represent them in a global meal. That was sort of the whole idea behind it.
I think a lot of Hyderabadis, including a lot of Indians, actually a lot of them are moving towards something which is international food, I must say, like, avocados, and then a lot of items are there which were not there. How do you say that seasonal produce is more conducive towards our own health and well-being versus these international food that is flooding the market?
Yeah, it's a very, very valid question. We have a new fad almost every day. And the more we travel and the more exposure we have, the more access we get to global, what we call superfoods, the more value our day-to-day foods tend to lose. But to give you a simple example, nature actually has the answer. So there's absolutely no denying the fact that avocado is good for you. But by the time that avocado travels to you from Tanzania and comes here, it's already lost a lot of its nutritional value. Yeah. And those are some basic things that we actually need to remember. Seasonal produce is built to grow in a way to give you access to the nutrition and the minerals and the vitamins that are needed for that season. So to just give you an example, when the rainy season starts to come in, you will see a lot of vitamin C intensive vegetables and fruits coming in. Your guava will come in, you start going into the orange season and so on and so forth. Because nature itself understands that this is a climate in which you may have health effects which can be cured by consumption of greater vitamin C, and those will then start to come in. So the same way in the winter seasons, you see some of the heavier produce comes in. In the summer season, gourds are abundant because gourds tend to be very high in water intensive. So while global superfoods in your diet are absolutely a privilege and you should try to add them where you can, there is a cost to them. But local superfoods which are being defined by nature to enhance your diet, it's a very easy and convenient way to make sure you have a healthy lifestyle without actually bursting your budget.
So when it comes to local food, how have you created or I would say, invented recipes that would cater to the audiences that we have?
So one unique thing that we needed to deal with was, unlike most cafes that build out a menu, they then have ingredients that go into every dish and then they procure produce specifically for a dish. We had a slightly unique situation because I wanted to use whatever was left over from the market, what was seasonal, and build a menu around it. So for example, you will never find something on our menu which says mushroom pizza or broccoli pizza, because we can actually never assure you that a particular produce will be available on a given particular day. So what we had to do was we had to come up with ways to use mixed greens. So for example, when we have a green salad, the green salad actually is a collection of all the local greens that are growing. So one day it might be more gongura and a little bit of totukura. On a certain day, it will have a little bit of gangabail kura or a menthi aku. All the different greens that actually come into the particular day, those combine to make a green salad. So there's no defined product that, okay, this is going to have 5 grams of this, 10 grams of this, and so on and so forth. So that was one thing that we did to actually incorporate local greens, which tend to be very easy and hearty to grow across the year for us. Other than that, we wanted to find unique ways in which simple local produce, which tends to be quite ignored and very, very inexpensive. For example, turai. Turai is a very turai rich gourd, birakai, what we call. It's a very widely available, inexpensive gourd. But what we did was we actually combined it with our fresh homemade mozzarella and we made a pizza with it. The bira, the spicy bira pizza is one of our most popular pizzas that we have. We also tend to use a lot of seasonal produce by extending its shelf life. So we will solar dry it. So we have a solar dryer at the farm where we will take in all the these little flowers that come in from gongura every October, called the roselle flower. We solar dry it and we pickle it, and that pickle we use across the year in another really popular pizza that we make, which is called feta and spice. So these are different ways in which we try to incorporate local produce into our day-to-day menu, at the same time giving people the feeling of having global food, because most people want to have, you know, global food when they come out to a cafe like this. It's not a South Indian cafe, so it's an easy way for us to incorporate these produce into what we call global fusion cuisine.
Are you a traveler yourself? And what are some of the items that we must come here and definitely try?
I've been very lucky and fortunate to have actually lived across the globe, US, UK, Singapore, and have traveled extensively. And a lot of what I do from food definitely has, my palate has been developed through my travels. My knowledge has been developed by all these lovely shows like MasterChef Australia. So there's a lot of influence of foreign cuisine in my cooking for sure. My favorites at the cafe vary from time to time. A traditional favorite, our Bisibelabat, is definitely an all-time hit. It's just one of those consistent products over the last 6 years, which has been a top seller. We make some of the freshest mozzarella because it's all handmade in-house by us. So everything from our margherita pizza to our feta and spice pizza have that freshness that sort of comes through. But my current favorite, which is almost my salad that I eat every single day these days, is the sweet potato salad, which is roasted in sesame seeds with a little hint of a tamarind sauce and served with a bunch of local vegetables, including totukura, a little bit of carrot and beetroot, etc.
So 2023, as we all know, is the year of millets. How have you used millets in your recipes to, you know, give a different taste to the people of Hyderabad?
So I'm delighted that millets have gained a lot more attention this year. With sage, however, they have been common in our meal for a very, very, very long time. In fact, before I experimented with sage as a chef, I used to be a baker. And when I started Sage, I was a little reluctant to come in and do any kind of baking because, you know, I was used to the maidas and the baking powder, baking soda. And I was very clear when I wanted to bake here, I wanted to do it without any of those things. So in fact, our first foray into even baking started with ragi flour. The first and most popular cake on our menu is the ragi cake. It's a chocolate cake made 100% with ragi flour. And that was sort of the first time we put ragi flour on a mainstream sort of cake shelf. Other than that, pretty much all our, we only use brown rice or millets in all our mains. We also have some very popular salads in which we incorporate millets to give people a flavor of how millets can be added into your meal without necessarily feeling that, oh my God, I'm compromising to have something very healthy.
So during COVID times, I've personally being a baker myself. I was in US and I'm also like gluten intolerant. So I tried a couple of dishes and some of them came nice, some of them could not, because ragi, as I understand from my experience, has been a little dense.
Yes.
And then we have buckwheat and other flours. Somewhere good, somewhere not. How much experiment have you guys done to make it the perfect thing that we have now?
I think the one thing that I'm very lucky with is I develop almost all of my recipes in my head. I have a very extensive scientific background in food. Just from, when I look at food, I think about it as combinations of flavors, of textures, and I understand how things sort of come together. And I think that's where the baker in me really stands out, because although I've been a baker for a very long time, I've never baked with a recipe. I've always baked by instinct, understanding the quantity of what needs to go in. So because of that, I think we've been very lucky with our recipes, and because I have extensive, I sort of used my experience of making an angel hair cake. Angel cake, which is usually completely flourless and completely egg based. I used that and I incorporated it with our ragi cake. So it actually started off with an egg white cake. So it had that fluffiness and the moistness of an angel cake. But had, instead of a flour, it had ragi, which doesn't infuse any gluten in it. So you could actually keep that lightness around. So sometimes some ideas definitely do fail, but we've been lucky that our basic understanding of the millets and the extensive kind of produce that we get to work with, we've had a fairly good rate of success with all the new recipes that we come out with.
So today on our table we have their home brewed kombucha, which is the basil kombucha that I have. So let me taste this. It's very yum and it's very, very fresh. And next we're going to try the dessert before it's going to melt. So we have the coffee cake with vegan vanilla ice cream and also coconut crackers. So that's a very unique combination. Let's try that. Very, very yum. You cannot make it out that this is vegan or not vegan or whatever. The entire thing is very tasty. Let me try the coconut crackers. Too good. And then we have this sweet potato salad with lots and lots of seeds and nuts in it. I can also see the carrots and the onions and the beets peeking in from the sides. So let's try this one as well. Can you guys hear the crispiness? It's very tangy and it's very, very nice. So you guys must come here and must have the food because the food is really incredible and fresh. So how has Sage incorporated sustainable farming practices as well as contributing towards local farmers in return?
So one of the biggest, as I said, our goal really was to, lots of people talk about farm to table. And a lot of concepts, actually farm to table is going up to a farmer's market and picking up your produce and coming back. Even that puts a lot of pressure on the farmer, because if you're going there only to purchase the tomatoes and the garlic and the ginger and coming back, every farmer will then have pressure to produce exactly that. And the more we produce of lesser items, the more our soil gets impacted and the more we're going against the season and growing produce which would naturally thrive in a particular season. So the whole concept of using what was local has been a great way for us to work with farmers, because we're not going to them and saying, okay, grow this for me, grow this for me, grow this for me. We're actually saying, hey, what are you growing? Let me know, and I will actually use that in some creative way or the other. If I'm not able to incorporate it in a salad or a pizza, I'll pickle it or I'll jam it or I'll do something unique with it, which allows us to extend its shelf life. So that has been a core concept of what we do. We have our own farms where we grow a lot of our produce, even our meats, our dairy, etc. comes in from our own farms. And one thing that we've been very conscious of doing is ensuring that all our practices are as ethical as possible. It's very challenging to veer away from the commercials of today's meat industry and food industry, but we've chosen particularly to be small and sustainable because that's sort of where our ethos and values have always held true.
And one thing, as I said, the first thing that you notice about this place is the ambience. It's very green, and you feel that air of having something good when you go inside. And you also have a store. Can you talk about that as well, like your store and creative items that you have in here?
Yeah. So really, the entire experience of coming to Sage, we started off with the concept of it being a marketplace, a sustainable marketplace, was really to provide people an avenue and a centralized location where they could come in and engage with things that were naturally produced or naturally created. So even something like you have holy waste, for example, which is taking flowers which are left over from all these beautiful functions that we do, dinners and events and weddings, and all of this goes waste. Instead of having to compost it, they take that and they try to make all these beautiful fragrances out of it. We work with a lot of female entrepreneurs who are specifically working on understanding sustainability, creating recycled materials, working with recycled materials. We work a lot with bamboo products. Other than that, we offer a huge selection of groceries which are naturally raised. As much as one superfood comes in and goes out based on whoever has the marketing bandwidth for a particular news item, the reality is that variety is the best way to ensure that you're healthy. So we have about 5 different types of millets, another 4-5 different types of grains, 6-7 types of lentils, all of which, if you use in rotation, is actually the best way to build a sustainably healthy lifestyle.
Thank you so much, Kavita. Is there anything else that you'd like to add on, maybe for the people of Hyderabad here?
I think I would like to say, I always say, I'm very grateful to have had a platform like this for the last 6 years that we have been able to promote. As much as Hyderabad is known for its incredibly flavorful food, like our biryanis, etc., the fact that we have this width of experience, that we're willing to go to something that is farm to table, at the same time enjoy the flavors of some deep Mughlai food and really understand what is happening around the world and absorb it. I think Hyderabad is very, very well placed to take on a concept like this and move it further. And I'm delighted that HyBiz would take the time to explore what we have to offer.
Thank you so much, Kavita. It was wonderful talking to you.
Thank you, Ankita, and thank you, HyBiz, for having us.
This is Ankita signing off.